Okay. Take two. Take two with this one. Anyway, I shouldn't have on. No, my memory should be good on here. But anyway, hello, brothers, sisters, and seekers. So, ever since the young man, Charlie Kirk, has been very wrongly taken, there's a lot of controversy that's surrounding his name. There's people either love him or hate him is what you're coming to see. There's a lot of he was a polarizing figure. He was a polarizing rising figure, I should say. And so, with that being stated, there's a lot of posting of his messages going on, his debates and stuff. And like I said before, so it's what it's basically doing is kind of puts you on a trail. It kind of piques your interest because, just of what's being said. But there are some posts that people share that's, it's very, it definitely doesn't paint him in the best light. But one thing I'm doing is I'm actually watching his debates, and I saw one and I posted it, and I thought that was actually really good debate, and it was handled really well on both sides. They didn't agree, and they were both coming from a biblical perspective, but they were able, and she was very young, so I'm really proud of her because I felt she handled herself very well. Now, those I can respect. I can respect that. We're going to have differing opinions sometimes on certain things. Certain things that can't be different, or else somebody's just wrong. But there are some things where it's like, okay, this is just a social issue. It's a political issue. But still, as believers, we still have to be rooted in the scripture, right? We still have to be rooted in God, in the Spirit of God, no matter what it is. So, it was an interesting exchange. That was one that I saw. I was like, I can respect that. Okay, now the things that people are posting, I can't. Like with him being just going off racially, just, I just don't like. That's a lack of love. It's a lack of empathy. And he also said that he doesn't believe in empathy. Okay, so I'm sorry. I don't see how a believer can lack empathy towards others. But carrying on, I also came across this debate where he was talking about Black American families, and I say we're a really hot topic, right? People just kind of just I don't know what it is about us where we're always in your mouth, but fine. So he was talking about our families and how a lot of Black American homes are fatherless. And here's the thing. I can't, someone just texted me. Okay, they're texting me. I'll text him in a moment. So here's the thing. He said that, Black families are fatherless. And, I think he was creating the argument that it's a problem. And him and this man, they were kind of, talking. They were going back and forth. I was getting my nails done. I was in the salon, so I couldn't really, tune in as much as I would have wanted to. But it made me think about something. Because one thing about it is there are many issues in the Black American community that are addressed, need to be addressed, and should be addressed, and should be fixed. I don't think anybody is dishonest about that or would disagree. I say disagree with that. However, here's my issue. Now, him saying that there's no fathers in the Black American community, I had to look at my statistics. I had to pull that up really quick. And it said like 49.7%. That's almost half. So yes, that's terrible. And then it also said like it's dropped. I mean, it's gotten better since the 70s, it said. But that there at one point, like at least 79%, I think it said, of people in the Black American community were saying that they grew up without a father in the home. Now, here is my thing. I can totally agree that is not good. I can 100% agree to that that's not good, that it's damaging, that fathers are definitely needed. Good fathers, not just any old father, but good fathers are needed in the homes, in our homes. But this is my issue with what he was doing. Do you know why they're gone? How do you feel about mass incarceration? You're probably all for that. You're probably okay with that. Okay, well, that's taking fathers out of homes. Well, and then you may say, well, they commit the crime, they got to do the time. Okay, that's a whole other issue within itself. Some people didn't. That's number one. But then number two, what kind of sentencing is going on? Are some of these crimes that are convicting these black men, putting them away for life, for crimes that there's just that either there could be a lot more leniency, because if you're supposed to be rehabilitated and put back into society a better person, how is giving someone a life sentence gonna do that, right? And I'm talking about some of these crimes. Not all crimes, believe it, are violent crimes that people get really stiff sentencing for. Not all the time. Okay, there needs to be a lot more mental health help in the black community based on a lot of trauma. Okay, there are some, and then if we get into the spiritual aspect of it, there is so much God could uncover, right? Since you're calling yourself a Christian, there's so much that God could uncover that will heal the community and that will bring the fathers back into the homes. Now, if you don't go to that next step, why are you saying this? Because you're being ugly. As simple as that. You don't love. See, if you're going to bring out issues to a community, then you need to be doing it from a pure place. Are you doing it to help? Is this something because you want to see this community heal? Are you saying this because see, black Americans, we're a very significant part of the legacy of America. So are you looking at it from that perspective, from that aspect? Are you saying like, this is a group of people that has a great legacy here? Okay. They fought in every war. That's why we're so powerful now. Many of their women were our domestics, nurtured us, loved us. They've been through a lot historically, and a lot of that trickles down. And for anyone to say, oh, that stuff happened so long, first of all, 150 years ago is not that long ago. That's number one. If I can sit up there and I can look at it, I have a great, she's either my great-great-grandmother or my great-great-great-grandmother. She's one of those, but she was a slave. We have a picture of her. Okay, that's not that long ago. Okay, but the whole point is, of the things that are handed down, the things that have yet to be healed, that haven't been broken. Okay, and it's funny because so many of y'all are big on generational curses, right? Like you believe in that tough, but you somewhere along the line you can't understand it when it comes to black Americans. Interesting. Now let's keep going. The point is this. Why are you saying these things? Where's the healing aspect of this? It wasn't there. It was simply to kick dirt on a community and to basically be like, this is how we feel about, I don't know. He seemed to have this issue he has an issue with a lot of people, a lot of groups, but black Americans tend to always be the ones that people kind of want to say something to. But the thing is, if you're who you're talking to, who you're dealing with, if you don't have love, what's the purpose? That's why, see, it becomes so clear. That's why God said it don't matter if you do it without love. It doesn't matter if you do it without love. All you're doing is inciting anger. All you're doing is speaking with half the story. And no way, no how would Jesus do that. I don't care what you say. I know you're lost if you think so. He would heal a community. He would come. Yes, he would speak the truth. Absolutely, he would speak the truth. But he would know, let's get to the root. Let's get to the root of this thing. And why? Because you matter. Why? Because you are significant. Because you're created in God's image. And because you're loved. And because we don't want to see your community crumble. We want to see your community remain. And we want to see you be strong. And we don't want to see Satan take y'all out of here. Okay? And that's why I have a passion for my own community, because God put it there. Okay? You know, and I see my people, my ethnic group wandering around lost, spiritually lost, because they have felt, many, not all, but many have felt like, okay, this religion isn't for us. This God isn't for us. This is the white man's God. And this is well, they feel that way because of stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? But whether you know what I'm saying or not, irrelevant. Don't care. But one thing's for sure, and two things for certain. The truth will always be spoken over here. And I am always going to fight for my ethnic group, because I understand them. I understand the heart. I understand the damage. And I understand that the loss, the things that have been lost. And what I'm talking about is, the reverence for God, the love for the God of the Bible, and then all of a sudden here's coming in all there's this rejection, and it's because of stuff like this. It's because of stuff like this. Like, okay, so people who call themselves Christians, this is the type of stuff they say about us, But anyway, again, that's neither here nor there. All I'm saying is, it's not that he was lying, and I'm sure there's other things he's telling the truth about. So it's not that he's lying about the absence of fathers and how it's damaging, and how that's something that has to be, now this is me speaking, that's something that has to be restored. That's an area where we need to pray for. We're praying for God to bring the fathers back into the home, turn the hearts of the fathers back to the children, and restore our families and restore our community, so that we are strong once again. So that we are strong once again, so that we are pillars, and get our sons and our men out of these penitentiaries, right? That's not God's heart for them to be in those places rotting. They can't be, any benefit to society whatsoever. That isn't God's heart for the Black community. So, and again, we're just as much a part of this American legacy. And a lot of people, like that one, I don't know who that guy was. He was another white guy calling himself a Christian, but very, very racist. And he was saying, gosh, I don't remember his name. He was shared on by one of the YouTubers, but what was he saying? Oh, Black Americans. He was saying he had a big problem with Black people in general, right? But then he had said, like, Black Americans are not real Americans. That's what he said. Like, what do you mean we're not real Americans? What are you talking about? There was no America. We were here from the founding of America. Now, I'm not talking about the landmass. I'm talking about the country that got established, right? So just ignorant stuff like that. But yeah, I'm just saying, according to God's heart, he said, if you do things and you don't do it with love, it doesn't even matter. So why are you pointing out these things that are considered to be okay, this is not a good thing, this is a bad thing. So why are you pointing it out? Are you pointing it out? Are you leading to the healing? Are you leading to let's do this. Let's fix it this way. Let's get to the root of it. No, you're not seeing none of that. You're not seeing none of that. So that's it. I noticed that, and I wanted to bring that up. And I might, as I go along this little trail, if I see anything else, I might say something else again. But I did want to make a comment on that. So we'll talk later.